Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon. On this dreary, rain-soaked day. I don't know if it's raining near you, but it's been raining nonstop yesterday, today, and then it's supposed to rain tomorrow. So it's kind of dreary, kind of blah energy, at least on my end. So I'm trying to get out of my little funk that I'm in. So if you do come on, make sure that you comment so I can see you. Sometimes it takes a few seconds for me to see it because Facebook tends to be slow. Ugh. And what are you guys drinking? I have my pretty pink cup today. I'm drinking cinnamon stick. I think it's from, yeah, it's from Bigelow. I'm really starting to really dig this one. My wife loves it too, so it's nice because usually she's like a straight green tea kind of girl. So it's nice for her to be able to find something that she really does like. So that cinnamon stick is really good. What do you get drinking? What are you grateful for today? Try and make it something that's different than the last time you thought about it. Today was a little bit harder today, and that's why I'm talking about derailment in this talk, because I had an issue today. So I'll talk about that in a second. But I also, just so you guys know, I wrote a meditation to talk after we talk about derailment, and that is a blog post. So I actually put it in comments there on the top of the screen. So if you guys want to check it out, if it resonates with you, use it for sure. So pretty much what I'm grateful for today is my meditation practice because this morning, well, actually, I woke up in the middle of the night and it was a lot of rain I could hear, and there was also really, really big waves. I live right on Lake Huron, so whenever I wake up and it's waves, it kind of scares us because actually the lake is only about 10 feet from our house. So we were putting more rock out there, putting some sand actually. We tried to, make more sand area for our guests when they come up. So we were feeling real good. We're like, okay, we haven't had a really, really bad storm in a while, and the sand's looking awesome. We got 2 new fire pits, so we were ready to rock and roll for Memorial Day weekend and then the rest of the season. And so we were feeling good, right? And then last night happened, flood warning, all of that jazz. Like I said, it was raining yesterday, raining today, gonna rain tomorrow. So when I woke up in the middle of the night, I looked out, peeked out my window, and I saw these huge waves. And I'm like, oh no, no. Hopefully what we did uh, stopped any sort of erosion or anything that happened. Unfortunately, it didn't. So most of the sand that we put down, which was a whole truckload, gone. Um, Even some of the rock got pushed from the force of the waves. So it was really heartbreaking to wake up to something like that, especially when you thought that you were doing what you needed to do to protect yourself and whatever you needed to do. So you had that problem that you saw looming and you found a solution. And unfortunately, this time it wasn't enough. So I really had a rough time this morning just finding positivity in that situation. So I figured I would talk about how to handle problems when they arise, because especially if you already have, a mindfulness practice, a meditation practice, these are the times in your life that you're training for, that you're preparing for, that you're practicing for, that you can handle. So my first thought is freak out, say a bunch of expletives, and maybe even cry a little bit because it's stressful and it didn't work out the way I planned, and now we have to go do X, Y, and Z. in order to protect ourselves again. And I stopped myself, and you're chugging along, you're trying to stay positive, you're doing your self-care practices, you're meditating, you're doing supposedly all the good things you're supposed to be doing, and then disaster strikes. And you want to just go back to how you used to be, how you used to handle things, let those emotions take over and just sap the rest of your day. A lot of times if something like a problem occurs, somebody's rude to you, and you get back into your old cycles, then the whole day feels shot and you don't know what to do. And that's the thing where you have to kind of stop and be mindful of that time frame and say, hey, I have all these emotions, but it's probably not all about what's happening now. It's about all the other times that life shifted in a way you didn't expect and you didn't want, to be honest. It's just the negative stuff piles on from years and years of things that you find dissatisfaction about, that you suffer about. So first step is realizing that you're in that cycle of, okay, I was about to freak out. Like, what can I do? Can I meditate? Hi, Mary. What are you drinking? What are you grateful for? So in that time when disaster strikes and you thought you were going a certain way and then you get, derailed from where you were going, what can you do to get back on track and not let that disaster, let that problem stop you from enjoying the rest of your day and also finding that solution? Because there's always a solution, regardless of if you like the solution or if you intended it to be the solution. It's there. You just have to deal with your stress in a way that is creative sometimes, because you thought that you fixed something and now it's broken again. So obviously there's another way to do things. And then just surrendering to the fact that your day isn't what you wished it was going to be, and embracing that change. Most of the time, especially in Buddhism, they talk about suffering being part of attaching your idea of life on everything. So like, your wife is going to be this way, and when she's not, you suffer. When your job was supposed to be this, and 2 years down the line, you're nowhere near that goal, you suffer from it. So having that like attachment to the perfect life or the perfect thing that's going to happen to you, that's where you start to go away from what you really should be doing, because you're just sitting in those emotions, all negative, all anxiety, fear, all of that kind of stuff. And you just let yourself stew, and you let yourself feel sorry for yourself, and you pity yourself. And this morning when disaster struck and I saw that, yes, indeed, all my sand was gone, I let myself feel those emotions of just feeling that heartbreak, of feeling stressed out. How am I going to pay for this? What's going to happen? We're going to be destitute. Like almost like having your brain just go to the worst case scenario, letting yourself feel that for only a very short amount of time, and then letting it go. Giving yourself that pity party for that split second, that you can just feel the emotions, understand where they're coming from, probably that they're partially connected to other parts of your past, that something similar happened, and then realizing that, okay, it's happened. What do I do moving forward? Just to let go of what you thought your life would be. So there's always a solution, and you have to look for the signs. So if are you completely flabbergasted? It's almost a sense of grief, losing what you thought you had wanted. Yeah, and if I've been thinking about this recently, Mary, is losing people. Like, they're still in your life maybe, but that pedestal, you always put somebody, especially when you don't know them well and they're new in your life, you automatically put them on, oh, this is the friend that's going to do this for me, or oh, this person always, your mother, your father, you put them on all of this projection of you're going to do something for me. And that's the only reason you're in my life, is because you're supposed to be like this. So it's heartbreaking that it's just, oh, wow, that person's not who I thought they were. Or, oh, I took this job and expected to be here in 5 years and I'm not. And you feel like garbage sometimes. And you don't understand why it didn't work the way that you intended it to, because you did all the right steps. You took the right classes and you did the right things to get where you want to be, and you're not there. And you grieve who you thought you would be today. Like me at 33, when I was 18, I had totally different expectations for myself. And even though I'm not where I assumed, why suffer in the thought of that loss? That, oh, I'm not that person, because that's a prison that you're in, that you're just like, oh man, oh, I'm not that millionaire, or oh, I didn't get the lottery, or whatever. But yeah, it is a grieving process. You just have to realize that everyone is constantly evolving, and you can't put them in a box. You can't put yourself in a box, because things happen to you for a reason. And if you feel that way, then despair won't happen. Because if you just don't believe in anything, which for a while there I didn't, and it was a very lonely existence, and a very, like, everybody was out to get me. And I just didn't trust anyone, because I thought that I was all on my own, that I couldn't do anything about it. So slowly, as I've worked into, my spiritual practice of just looking inside and just taking care of myself, that in turn like blossomed, that if you see the world in a certain way, it's better because you don't feel like you're just alone in an ocean and just trying to be by yourself, trying to stay above water, because there's always something that you can learn from what you lost. So that problem, 2 years down the line, hindsight is 2020. That was why you're where you are now, because you gained some sort of strength or knowledge in that horrible time that you had to deal with. And then you were able to either help someone else, or, it became something that you gained wisdom from. And if you think of every negative thing like that, can't really be mad about it. You can't have that negative connotation of, oh crap, now I have to do something that I didn't expect to do. That's just part of the journey, and having that journey mind and not the end result, because the end result is always moving. It's always shifting, because you're always constantly changing. So when you were 18, you wanted to be something, and when you're 30 to 40, it's something completely different than what you wanted to be as a kid. So just realizing and giving yourself grace to feel the feelings you have, and to let go of who you thought you were supposed to be and the day you were supposed to have. In the moment of hardship, I hate that phrase, but in retrospect, it's always true. Yep. You get put in the flames, and you're there for a reason. And it's hard to say, like, oh, everything happens for a reason, because it sounds foo-foo, and it sounds, people just say it to say it. But if you really take that mindset to heart, it helps a lot. I mean, a lot of people, when they're dying, when they're in an illness, they find God, they find, a spiritual life, because they know deep down that they can't do it alone. And even if you don't have a religious affiliation, or you don't know what happens when you die, that's sort of irrelevant. It's just sort of like whatever speaks to you in the moment, to kind of connect back to, we're all made of energy, and energy never goes away. It always just becomes something else. So no one ever really dies. It just goes on to another part of experience and part of life. So it's just, you have to figure out through, if you need to search, just listen to your own heart, and stuff will start to kind of fold out for you. And that, at least that's in my experience. So just take from everybody every religion, every experience, every negative thing, see it as a lesson for yourself. You don't have to necessarily bring it to your heart. You just have to open your mind and open yourself to realizing that some people see things a different way because that's how it works for them, and be cool with it. All right. So anyway, off my soapbox. All right. I wrote a meditation so that you can kind of use it. I also wrote a blog so you can use it later if, again, like I said at the beginning, if it resonates for you. Um, but it's mostly just to find like spiritual guidance if you're having a problem. So if it could be anything, small or large, a life decision that you're trying to figure out, you can kind of use this meditation to realign with your path where you're supposed to go. So if you want to, oh, I think I lost, preach. I feel like in my old age I've been more preachy, so I apologize if it sounds insane, but if it makes sense to you, that's all that matters, really. All right, so if you want to find a comfortable seat, make sure your spine is straight and close your eyes. Take a deep inhale and exhale with a sigh. Start to think about the problem you have that needs a solution. What kind of emotions come up? Feel them for a brief time and let them go. Surrender so that you may find clarity. Give yourself grace for your reaction. Take a full breath, inhaling creativity, exhaling fear. In your mind's eye, visit your heart space. Picture your inner light as a flame flickering warmly in your chest. Listen intently. Your heart wishes you to move deeper and follow its call. When you are on the right path, your flame becomes an inferno, lighting your way in the darkness. Open yourself up to the universe for the guidance you seek. There are signs and clues all around you. One needs just to look. Inhale resolution. Exhale confusion. Slowly come back to your body. Open your eyes and smile. Thank you so much for being with me today. Love and light. Namaste.